Hello everyone, today we will be seeing how fast or how slow Quagsire can beat Pokemon Heartgold in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. Yeah, this Pokemon is not going to perform that good, and I immediately realized that when I took a look at its stats. We have 95 HP, 85 attack and defense, 65 special attack and special defense, and 35 speed. It's mainly the 35 speed I'm very worried about. But who knows, maybe our moveset can make up for it. Our starting moveset is going to be Water Gun, Tail Whip, and Mud Sport. We get Mud Sport again at level 5, but then at level 9 we get Mud Shot. It's not really a good ground type move, and it is a special move, but it's going to have to do for the early game. And then at level 15 we'll get Slam, and then we get Mud Bomb at 19, which I honestly think is kind of a downgrade from Mud Shot. I mean, yeah, it's 10 extra power, but it's 10 less accuracy, so I'll probably end up skipping it. And then we get Amnesia, Yawn, Earthquake, Rain Dance, Mist, Haze, and Muddy Water. Muddy Water, I just really do not like that move. It's just a knockoff of Surf that has a chance to lower accuracy. It's not really my favorite kind of move. However though, if we take a look at the TM set, we get a little bit of coverage. Like for example, we get Focus Punch, we get the Ice type moves Ice Beam and Blizzard, and then we get Iron Tail, Earthquake, Return, Dig, and Brick Break. We get Sludge Bomb for some reason. Rock Tomb can definitely help us in the early game, and then we can get access to Focus Blast, and then Stone Edge, Rock Slide, and then in addition to the HMs for Surf and Waterfall. Waterfall will definitely be very useful for this thing later, because our attack is way better than our special attack, which is why the early game isn't going to be as good, because we're mainly going to be relying on special moves. However though, that's not the biggest problem we have to worry about. Remember when I put a huge emphasis on our 35 base speed? Well, here's the thing. What is our one weakness? That's right, the grass. We are 4 times weak to grass, and you know what Red has on his team? A Venusaur. It has the moves Frenzy Plant and Giga Drain. I mean, Red's AI will deprioritize moves like Frenzy Plant, but he'll definitely be using Giga Drain, and that is going to hurt super bad. So we need to make sure we can outspeed this thing. In fact, I'm actually running a plus speed nature on this Pokemon, just to try and get as much speed as possible. In fact, Axew even routed a bunch of this run for me. He mentioned that in order to outspeed the Venusaur, which has 148 speed, at level 100, we would need a minimum of 120 speed EVs in addition to a plus speed nature. But if I can get more EVs than that, I can get away with a lower level. But the thing is, all that really matters is that I outspeed the Venusaur. And I am going to prioritize early game to knock out wild Pokemon that give speed EVs. In fact, I'm going to be fighting random trainers with like 2 or 3 Rattatas just to try and get as much speed as is possible. But I can't just focus entirely on speed EVs. I need to do as much training as is possible. I'm going to need to be near level 100 to beat Red for this thing, and there's no getting out of it. So in the early game, I'm probably just going to end up fighting almost every trainer. And it's not just in preparation for Red, it's also to try and deal with a lot of the early game gym leaders. For example, Faulkner is just going to be spamming Roost on me, so unless I can knock him out quickly, he'll just trap me in an infinite heal loop. And then Bugsy tends to be difficult for a lot of people, but at least Quagsire can learn Rock Tomb, so it's not going to be that bad. But I do really worry about Morty and Chuck, and those fights are going to be coming later. So right now, I'm just going to fight the trainers on the first couple of routes, and then clear out the Sprout Tower. Clearing out the Sprout Tower is not fun when you're using Water Gun, but that is why I fought all the early game trainers just to make the Bellsprout better. And besides, this is Heartgold version. Sprout Tower is mandatory in this game. But with the Sprout Tower cleared, let's go take on the first gym leader, Faulkner. He leads off with his level 9 Pidgey. He starts off by using one sand attack, so that's not a good start. Then on the Pidgeotto, I just have to keep spamming Water Gun and hope for the best. I do get a fortunate crit though, and for some reason the Pidgeotto just decided to quit using Roost, even when it was in low health. So, yeah, Faulkner pretty much just blew that fight. I do not know what the heck he was doing there. He easily could have just spammed Roost. He usually spams Roost, but hey, I'll take it. So now with Faulkner defeated, I gotta fight my way towards the Union Cave and then exit out the other side. But while I'm in the Union Cave, I go ahead and get the TM for Rock Tomb. This will come very much in handy for the upcoming gym leader Bugsy. Plus, I do have the Shell Bell now. I get the Shell Bell just outside of the Union Cave. You do need Rock Smash for it. The guy who gives Rock Smash is to the west of Violet City, and I just go ahead and teach Rock Smash to my Rattata, which I caught for HM usage. It's mainly just to deal with Cut and Rock Smash. But now that I'm in Azalea Town, I gotta clear out the Slowpoke well, and then I can go take on the second gym leader, Bugsy. He leads off with his Scyther in the remix. I go ahead and use one Rock Tomb, and surprisingly, it doesn't get one-shot. But fortunately, all he does is just use 2 Leers on me, so I'm able to get to his Metapod quite easily. My Rock Tomb is not able to knock it out. I should have just stuck to using Water Gun, but either way, his Metapod only has Tackle, and his Kakuna only has Poison Sting. So yeah, Bugsy was completely easy this time. And then afterwards, I can defeat the rival inside of Azalea Town. He has the Quilava line because in my playthroughs, I always replace the Grass-type starter for consistency in these playthroughs. I don't usually play with whatever I think the hardest will be. I just decide to just replace the same Pokemon every time. So sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's not, and today it is not. I mean, if this thing had to face Bayleaf, oh man, that would be an absolute nightmare. However though, we do get some good news. Inside the forest, I can talk to this guy right here and he will teach my Quagsire Headbutt. And now with access to a better physical move, I can make my way to Goldenrod City. The very first thing I do is I go ahead into the game corner and play some Voltorb Flip. Usually this game is completely RNG dependent, but what I do is while I play the game, you can't see it because all the gameplay takes place on the bottom screen, sadly. But what I do is I just make a save state every few cards I flip over, and if I flip over a Voltorb, I just reload the save state and just keep playing, because I do not want the RNG luck with Voltorb Flip to be affecting these playthroughs, and I'm going to be needing a lot of coins. In fact, I get 8,919 coins. I go ahead and use these coins to get a Dratini for HM coverage, and then I can talk to this guy right here and get some other items. I get the TM for Substitute, a Metronome held item just in case, as well as a Silk Scarf. The Silk Scarf will boost my normal moves by 20%. The Metronome boosts my moves power by 10% up to 100% each turn if I use the same move multiple times in a row. However though, I've noticed it doesn't really tend to be as useful as I originally thought it was. It's mainly helpful if you have no setup moves and you're just going to be spamming the same move over and over anyway. It doesn't matter though. We need to go take on the third gym leader, Whitney. You may have noticed I don't have Ice Beam on my moveset. I could have gotten Ice Beam at the game corner. However, I'm not going to need it. So with the moveset I currently have, let's go take on the normal type gym leader, Whitney. Theoretically, I should have gone in the department store to get myself Focus Blast first to make this fight easier, but I think Headbutt will do just fine. Because in fact, I just 2-shot the Clefairy with Headbutt, and then the Miltank outspeeds me, which can cause Stomp to flinch me, and then right away the Miltank uses Attract. Uh-oh. So yeah, in this playthrough, I completely realized when I was setting my stats and my nature before the run, I forgot to make my Quagsire female, because I need to rely on using Attract for the final red fight, plus it makes this fight a lot harder than it needed to be. So when I realized this, I was debating whether I should start the run over or not, but what I end up doing is I just exit out the game entirely, and then I can go ahead and make my Quagsire female as if this whole thing never happened. However though, I actually forget to continue recording, and as you can see when I load the game back up, I'm in the water fighting trainers, and Whitney and Morty are already defeated. So yeah, I did forget to record like 25 minutes worth of footage, but you didn't really miss too much. Whitney wasn't too bad, and if you have the move Substitute, Morty is just completely a breeze because you can just block his curses with Substitute. But yeah, I am so sorry for losing that much footage, it won't happen again. But hey, at least it'll make the video quicker. Anyway though, the reason I'm fighting all these trainers in the water is because I am going to be coming back to the Whirl Islands to get a couple of rare candies later, and I do have to cross through this area anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and fight the trainers because, as I've mentioned many times, I need as much experience as possible and as many speed EVs as possible. So once I defeat all the trainers, I can head on to shore and then go challenge the 5th gym leader, Chuck, which will be on video this time. Chuck leads off with his Primeape. Its only really goal in life is just spamming double team over and over, but fortunately Earthquake gets a crit and I one-shot it. Then on the Poliwrath, I go ahead and I set up a Substitute as it charges up Focus Punch. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be using Substitute, but then he decides to put me to sleep with Hypnosis. Fortunately I wake up before it's too late, and then he just keeps breaking my Substitute with Focus Punch, and whenever I decide not to use Substitute, he's using Hypnosis. Okay, it's like this guy's clearly cheating and he's figuring out what I am doing. However though, fortunately I am able to take out his Poliwrath and I can get my 5th gym badge. Although it is my 3rd one on video because I accidentally wiped the Whitney and Morty fights from existence. Just before I leave Cianwood, I go north here and fight Eugene. He actually has some decent XP yields because he has a fully evolved Pokemon in Electrode. And with Eugene defeated, I go back to the Olivine Lighthouse, give Jasmine the secret potion, and I take her on as the 6th gym leader. She has only 2 Magnemites and a Steelix. However though, I have Surf on my moveset because I got that HM in Ecruteak City, so I can Earthquake the Magnemite, and then Surf will almost one-shot the Steelix. All it does is hit me with a single Screech, and then I can knock it out with Surf as well as the Magnemite with Earthquake. So now next up, I need to head to the Lake of Rage and do a bunch of Team Rocket plotline. This section of the game is never interesting to anybody, so we're just going to fast forward through this and take on the 7th gym leader, Price. Price leads off with his Seal. I go ahead and use a turn 1 Substitute to try and block the speed drop from Icy Wind, and then I can use Earthquake to one-shot the Seal. Next up is the Piloswine. I use Surf on it for the one-shot, and then last up is his Dewgong. Earthquake is going to be my most powerful move here, so I use it, and it lives in yellow health, but that doesn't matter. Aurora Beam is blocked by the Substitute, and then Price is defeated. So now at this point is when I get that dreaded phone call, and I have to go clear out the radio tower. I do want to mention one thing though. I'm actually really glad that a huge abundance of these trainers just have Rattatas and Raticates, because those things give speed EVs, and I only have 102 speed EVs. I need a minimum of 120 to outspeed Red at level 100. And honestly, I'm going to need a lot more than that. So I'm going to get as many speed EVs as is possible. However though, before I go in there, I go into the department store, and then I go ahead to the floor that they sell TMs on. I go ahead and get the TM for return since I'm playing on a Sunday, and then if I talk to this person right here, I can go ahead and purchase a Blizzard TM. I purchased Blizzard here because I do not want to spend 10,000 coins on Ice Beam, And then I can go ahead to this floor right here and buy some vitamins. And today's vitamin of the day is in fact not Carbos, because I am over 100 speed EVs, so I cannot use Carbos. So my actual vitamin of the day is 4 protein. I go ahead and just buy protein here because I'm mainly going to be relying on physical attacks for the rest of the game. So I'm just going to max out my attack while I'm here. Although that may end up being a mistake because now I have less room to gain more speed EVs. But honestly, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to my gold EV count anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and deal with it. So now I can clear out the entire radio tower. So then I can make my way to Mahogany, cross the ice cave into Blackthorn City, and then we can go take on the dragon type gym leader, Claire. When I entered Blackthorn for the first time, I went to the move deleter, deleted Surf, and now I have Waterfall and Earthquake on my moveset. These are going to be my 2 most powerful same type attack bonus moves. She leads off with her Gyarados. Intimidate cuts my attack, which is not good. She uses Dragon Rage right away, and Return does less than half. And then Waterfall barely even does any better. I mainly used Waterfall to try and hope for a flinch and avoid her using a Hyper Potion. And then on the Dragonair, I go ahead and use Earthquake, and it lives in red health. Uh-oh. Fortunately, due to my part ground typing, she can't just use Thunder Wave, although I really should have taught Blizzard at this point. So now on the Kingdra, Earthquake's only going to be doing a third, Dragon Pulse leaves me at 23 hit points left, and then the second Dragon Pulse knocks me out. Yeah, I kinda figured this wasn't going to go good. I leave the gym and go fight the trainers along Route 44, and just to get more training done, and then I come back to Claire at level 52. However though, I do make a dumb mistake and I used one too many waterfalls on the Gyarados because I am able to get it into Hyper Potion range and she goes ahead and heals her Gyarados, which is not good. Then on the Dragonair, I use Earthquake, it lives in red health, and then I can knock it out. This is actually the point where I realized there was a TM that could help out. It's the TM for Rest. I could have gotten that at the game corner while I was farming for coins. If I had known to buy that earlier, that is something I could have bought to make this battle specifically a lot easier. But fortunately, Kingdra has no idea that my ability is Water Absorb, so she uses Hydro Pump on me, giving me HP back, and then once I defeat it, her final Dragonair makes me live at 7 HP, she uses a full restore, and I am so close to defeating her team. And then, you know what happened? I missed too many Earthquakes because of the smoke screens I've been hit with, and I end up getting a reset, which, come on, I was so close. And then after that loss, I just get reset after reset after reset after reset. And then 8 resets into the run, I am finally able to defeat Claire. I mean, Claire only took like 5 tries, but still, if I had had Rest, I could have deleted Return at this point, because Earthquake and Waterfall are straight up better than Return. There's no reason to hold on to Return anymore. So that's honestly a huge player error on my part. But then again, it was a bit of an error on Axie's part too, because even he admitted he did not think of buying Rest, but I think maybe next time I go to the game corner, I should just always get a Rest TM by default. Either that, or I can catch a different fly user, because if you return Kenya to his rightful owner on Route 30, he will actually give you the TM for Rest in this game. I really should have done that and just catch a Pidgey or something. So that's something I'll remember for next time. And then I go ahead and solve the quiz, get my 8th badge. I don't need the Dratini because I bought one myself. And then I can dig out, and before I can head to the Pokemon League, I have to take on the Kimono Girls. These girls tend to be very difficult trainers in this game because they each have a singular evolution at level 38, which is kind of a high level at this point in Johto, and I have to take them on in succession. So if I lose to one, I gotta start all over again. And trust me, blacking out does not work. Even if you black out and come back, if you're like 3 trainers deep, you're gonna have to start over again. But fortunately, none of the evolution girls cause me any problems. I can enter inside the bell tower, climb my way to the top, run away from Ho-Oh like a little bitch, and then I can go ahead back to New Bark Town and make my way into Kanto. I can collect this rare candy right here, fight a bunch of trainers leading up to Victory Road, and then at the very end, I'm going to get a couple of things. I go ahead right here, right near where the rival is supposed to take me on, and then I can go ahead and get a rare candy. There is a second TM for Earthquake here. I should have picked that up as a backup, but I forgot. Anyway, once I get this rare candy, I completely destroy the rival fight here, and then right in front of the Pokemon League, there is another hidden rare candy. They just leave these things all over the place. It's kind of like they're just leaving them around like they're just candy or something. I don't know, they're just not keeping an eye on these things. Anyway, we need to go take on the final 5 trainers of Johto, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's do this shit. The first Elite Four member is the Psychic type user, Will. He leads off with his level 40 Xatu. I go ahead and use a turn 1 substitute to block his incoming Confuse Ray, and then Waterfall makes his Xatu live in yellow health, but fortunately I have the Shell Bell equipped, so as I am behind a substitute, I do slowly gain back health. It's not as good as the leftovers, but it's gonna have to do for now. And although the Jinx does break substitute, it's not able to do a Lovely Kiss attack on me. And then on the Exeggutor, he goes ahead and uses a Reflect right away, which is pretty dang annoying, but fortunately I do still have Return, and this is probably the one benefit of Return at this point, is that Return will do neutral coverage on the Exeggutor, although I should have just taught Blizzard over Return at this point. Like, sure, Rest would have been helpful at Claire, but after that I should have just taught Blizzard. I literally bought the TM, and I haven't even taught it yet. So I think that's just another piece of player error on my part that we didn't think of while making the notes. And I do end up getting a reset on Will because I hit myself in confusion one too many times. I am able to beat him though on the next attempt at pretty decent health. Next up is the Poison type Elite Four member, Koga. His Ariados is generally quite good to set up on, although Ariados for some reason has Giga Drain, so I can't really set up Substitute on it, so I'm just gonna have to knock it out with Earthquake. Okay, Fortress is definitely way better to set up on, although at this point I'm just spamming Waterfall because I'm not even bothering trying to set up a Substitute. Like, I should have set up at least one, but fortunately Waterfall gets a critical hit on it, and then I can take out his Venomoth. Although it does live at literally 1 HP, but fortunately I'm able to just knock it out with another Waterfall, and then I can Earthquake the Muck, and then defeat his Crobat. Next up is the Fighting type Elite Four member, Bruno. Here's the thing though. With Earthquake and Waterfall, plus the fact his Hitmontop loves spamming Dig, this whole fight is an absolute joke. Like, he's just not even hard in this run. Anyway, next up is the Dark type Elite Four member, Karen. Her Umbreon really loves using Confuse Ray, so I go ahead and use a substitute right away, and all she does is just use a double team on it, and then Earthquake gets a critical hit and one-shots it. Next up is the Vileplume. This thing is going to be kind of scary. Fortunately, Substitute does block the Petal Dance. I do outspeed the Vileplume and I am able to knock it out. Fortunately, since she locked it inside a Petal Dance, she cannot use a full restore on it. So then on the Gengar, I use Waterfall on it and it lives in red health. That is not good. You want to know why? Her Gengar will always spam Destiny Bond when in red health. So I need to just spam Return and Earthquake until she runs out of Destiny Bonds, and then once she's out of them, then I can knock out her Gengar with Waterfall. And then Waterfall takes care of her Houndoom as well as the following Murkrow. So in the league, Will was like the only difficult Elite Four member. However though, we do have the champion to go through. So let's go take on Lance. This is the moment where I realize I don't need Return anymore, so I go ahead and get rid of it for Blizzard. So on the Gyarados right away, I use a Waterfall, getting a crit, and it actually does half. That is surprising. And then I go ahead and use Blizzard on it. It puts it in red health, it freezes the Gyarados, but Lance just uses a full restore anyway. So I go ahead and just continue spamming Waterfalls on it. I do get a lucky crit though. The reason I'm spamming Waterfall is just to hope for flinches. And then Lance's Gyarados hits me with Waterfall and it actually brings me to full health. However though, with the AI, once it notices you have Water Absorb, it will never use water moves again. So he has learned his lesson now. And now with the Gyarados defeated, I can Blizzard his first 2 Dragonites, and then on his 3rd Dragonite, it hits me with Dragon Rush, I miss Blizzard, it hits me again, I flinch, and then Dragonite knocks me out with his own Blizzard. Come on, how dare you use my own spells against me? On the next attempt, I go ahead and equip the Never Melt Ice because maybe it'll allow me to do more damage to the Gyarados. Although the problem is, using 2 Blizzards on him does put it into full restore range and allows him to heal right away. However though, his Gyarados is really not that threatening, it just takes time to knock out. But here's the thing though, his level 49 Dragonites do outspeed me, but his level 50 Dragonite does not, because his level 50 Dragonite has a minus speed nature. So then now, I can go ahead and die to a critical hit Dragon Rush on the 3rd Dragonite. Yep, this is exactly how I envisioned Quagsire. Here's the thing though, this isn't my first run with him, this is my 3rd. My first run was a time of around 3 hours and 40 minutes if I recall correctly. But then I tried to record a second playthrough because the first run was pretty dang bad, plus I accidentally recorded it in 144p by mistake. So I pretty much had 0 good footage to use. In fact, I nearly canceled this video entirely because of it. But then the second run was literally 20 minutes worse because I got extremely unlucky in the late game. So this is actually my 3rd attempt at Quagsire. Okay, this thing is definitely going to be putting up some money for my least favorite Pokemon since Porygon. I do eventually end up beating Lance though at around 14 resets into the run. It doesn't really take that many tries to beat Lance. I just have to be level 60, not get flinched by Dragon Rush, and actually landing my Blizzards when I need to. Plus if I can hit my Blizzards and one-shot the Dragonites, I can heal back around 20 HP with the Shell Bell. So I need to just go ahead and just knock out his team. In fact, on this winning attempt, his 3rd Dragonite actually missed Dragon Rush, which makes sense, that thing has the accuracy of Thunder, or at least very close to the accuracy of Thunder. But once I defeat it, his Charizard and Aerodactyl go down quite easily, and the champion of Johto is defeated. However though, this is not where I end my Heartgold playthroughs. I have to go into Kanto, defeat 8 more gym leaders, and then I have to rematch the Elite Four, and then once that's done, I can then take on Red. However though, I'm not going to cover every gym leader in its entirety. I'm going to go ahead and fade out to the hardest gym leader in this section of the game, Blue. However though, if any other gym leader provides some sort of challenge, I will fade back to one of them, so I will see you on the other side. And in fact, there is something interesting, although it's not a gym leader, it's actually a mandatory double battle on the way to Bill's house in order to get Misty back to her gym. These trainers have Parasect on their team as well as another Paras, and they end up paralyzing Quagsire. I end up missing so many Blizzards, and on these trainers specifically, I end up blacking out, and I have to let all my HM users faint, and I get all the way back to New Bark Town. So that was quite bad, and there is something I do to try and accommodate this. As soon as I get back to Cerulean City via Fly, I deposit all of my HM users, so that way I can take on those 2 trainers one at a time. Normally Kanto random trainers aren't even supposed to be hard, but I feel like that was just one exception because of my 4 times weakness to grass, plus how slow I am. And once I deposit my HM users though, I am able to defeat those 2 trainers one at a time, so now I'm going to fade back out again. And there is an actual gym leader who provides a problem. It's not just one, but two. The first of these two are the two gym leaders I saved for last. So for my 14th gym, I'm going to be taking on Sabrina. And she's not hard for the reason you may think. The reason this Sabrina battle is hard is because after her Espeon is defeated, her Alakazam is very fast and has the move Energy Ball. So this will do 4 times damage and practically one-shot me in most situations. On my first attempt here, the Alakazam hits me with Energy Ball. I'm at level 69, which is almost nice because I'm not at a damage rounding threshold. And then at 5 HP left, I am able to one-shot her Alakazam, and then the Mr. Mime ends up one-shotting me with Psychic because of how low my HP is. However though, this is still pretty difficult because the Espeon can actually do some decent damage to me, and if it does enough damage, there's a reasonable chance I actually cannot survive Energy Ball. But I do come up with a backup plan. I want to try and have a substitute set up on the Alakazam just to block Energy Ball. However, on the next attempt, this doesn't end up working and I get another loss. This doesn't take too many tries though. On the literal next attempt, I use Earthquake on the Espeon, and I am able to one-shot it surprisingly because I do get a Quick Claw activation. She just uses a turn 1 Reflect instead of actually attacking, so I am able to defeat it in 2 Earthquakes, and then the Mr. Mime uses Light Screen, and then it mimics Earthquake, and then I am able to knock out Sabrina. Okay, she did sort of play that fight bad, but I did get a lucky Quick Claw clutch on the Espeon. In fact, I think a Quick Claw clutch on either Alakazam or the Espeon is the only way to win. However, she is nowhere in comparison to the next gym leader. We've got to take on Erika. I'm sure you know why I saved this gym leader for last. I am 4 times weak to grass, and her whole team is using grass types. However, I do have an easy way to win this fight. I need to knock out all 5 of her Pokemon with Blizzard. Blizzard will one-shot the Jumpluff, the Victory Bell, and the Tangela, but however, it will two-shot the Blossom. But here's the thing, I actually outspeed everything on her team except the Jumpluff. But all the Jumpluff really does is just use a turn 1 Leech Seed. She will not use Sunny Day. I'm pretty sure it's because she already outspeeds anyway, so there's no need to use Sunny Day to activate her Chlorophyll ability. However though, on the Victory Bell and the Tangela, I do outspeed both of them, and I can survive 1 grass move off of the Blossom, so I can use 2 Blizzards on it. Here's the thing though, getting 5 Blizzards in a row is a roughly 13% chance of working. And I was thinking maybe I should have actually gotten coins for Ice Beam after all, but at this high of a level, and with how bad my special attack is, I'm not so sure Ice Beam would one-shot the Victory Bell, Tangela, or the Blossom. Because here's the thing, if Blizzard can't one-shot Blossom, then Ice Beam obviously can't. But if Ice Beam could one-shot Victory Bell and Tangela, I could get to the Blossom every single time. So that would actually give me a lot more room to work with. However though, I just don't know right now. So right now, I'm just having to just spam Blizzard and just hope for the best. I need to just land 5 Blizzards in a row. Come on. If Red's Pikachu can land 7 Thunders in a row in Crystal, surely I can do this, right? And this battle definitely takes a lot of luck. I don't end up winning, getting 5 Blizzards in a row, until 34 resets into the run. You know, I think it may have just been faster to just farm the coins needed for Ice Beam, and if I can't one-shot Victory Bell or the Tangela, who knows? Maybe the Nevermelt Ice would've. So I think the fact that I didn't have Rest for Claire, or Ice Beam with Nevermelt Ice for Erika, those were the 2 major routing flaws I made for this run. But still, this Pokemon is just downright bad. It struggles at a lot of different fights. However though, that is pretty much all the difficult spots in Kanto today. So now we need to go take on the 16th gym leader, Blue. Just before I take him on though, I do end up going back to Victory Road in order to get another copy of Earthquake. Plus, I am now holding the leftovers. I got these leftovers when I used my Master Ball on the Snorlax and stole its leftovers. Blue leads off with Exeggutor. I used Blizzard on it. It lives in red health, and fortunately he missed Leaf Storm, so I go ahead and use one Waterfall first to try and get a flinch, and then I can use Blizzard to one-shot it from there. But obviously the Exeggutor gets to me first. On the next attempt, I used 8 rare candies to get myself to level 78, so now Blizzard can actually one-shot it. And then on the Arcanine here, I go ahead and use Earthquake, and it lives at 1 hit point remaining because his Intimidate prevented Earthquake from just one-shotting it. Although the next one does one-shot, so it was definitely a range of some sorts. And then on the Rhydon, I used Waterfall, end up one-shotting it surprisingly. I really should have used Blizzard. But then on the Machamp, it has no guard, so it can hit me with Dynamic Punch, which it does, and now I'm confused. Fortunately, I don't hit myself, but the stupid Machamp lives at 1 HP. I seriously hate Intimidate. I am able to eventually knock it out with Earthquake though, and now the Gyarados just got off another Intimidate. Okay, I think I just need to start using Blizzard at this point. I go ahead and use 2 Blizzards on the Gyarados, but sadly he activates a full restore. I really should have used a couple of Waterfalls first just to make sure this wouldn't happen. So that is 100% on me. And then Gyarados ends up freezing me with Ice Fang when I was in the middle of knocking him out. So now I need to wait for the 10% chance I thaw out. And his Gyarados ends up hitting me with a critical hit return and actually finishes me off. You know what's upsetting about that? All the opponent's Pokemon in this game have the default friendship value, and Gyarados' default friendship is 70. So that power of return isn't even good. Just the fact he got a crit. Like, dude, come on. 38 resets into the run though, I am able to defeat his Gyarados, make it to his Pidgeot. It does try and knock me out with return, but I end up living at 32 HP remaining, and then I can finally knock out his Pidgeot, and Blue is defeated. So yeah, Blue was really bad. But then again, Quagsire is really bad. So now at this point, if you look at my speed EVs, I have 147. So I am definitely over my threshold. Actually, here's the thing. When I said the threshold was 120, I misremembered. The threshold is 140. So I'm only over my threshold by 7. So I may still need to be close to level 100. And that was the reason I got almost every rare candy in the game. In fact, when I finish talking to Professor Oak, I need to get more rare candies that are blocked off by Rock Climb. There's even one in Cerulean Cave, for crying out loud. After I finish going around the region of Kanto and going back into Johto for a few more rare candies, I go ahead back to Vermilion City. If you talk to this guy when you have all 16 badges, he gives you a PP max. Fun fact, in the original game, he just gives a protein. So yeah, what a nice deal. And then in the Diglett's Cave, I can use Rock Climb here and get another PP max. These are definitely going to be used on Waterfall and Blizzard. So now with the PP maxes and the rest of the rare candies in the game, I enter the Pokemon League. I deposit my HM users just in case I need to do blackout training. So now we've got round 2 of the Elite Four. Let's do this. I'm not going to roll any intros for round 2 of the Elite Four just because you've already seen them once. You don't need to see them again. Will, in round 2 of the Elite Four, he leads off with a Bronzong. It is very annoying because of how bulky it is, plus the fact it has Reflect, which is just really bad of a move for the opponent to be using. However though, I can defeat the Bronzong easily after that, and the Jinx outspeeds me by 1 point, so she's able to put me to sleep and use Dream Eater on me, and because of that, she's able to finish me off with Blizzard. On the next attempt, I'm able to defeat the Jinx while remaining in red health, and then I can knock it out, and now I'm on to the Slowbro. he just starts setting up Curse like crazy. He is really trying hard to do full Gen 2 style, but fortunately that doesn't happen. Then on the Gardevoir, I one-shot it with Earthquake, and last up is his Xatu, the one that gave me a reset last time I was here. This thing still has Confuse Ray, but fortunately I'm able to hit Blizzard and Will is defeated. Koga leads off with a Skunk Tank in this fight. I go ahead and use a turn 1 substitute as it tries to use Toxic on me. Me doing this, I am able to exploit his AI, and then I can go into the rest of the fight with just a substitute up as a backup strategy. Then on the Venomoth, it just tries to use a useless Silver Wind. Unfortunately on the Swalot, it's not able to hit me with Yawn because of the substitute. Then on the Toxicroak, obviously I'm going to keep using Earthquake, right? I one-shot the Toxicroak as well, and now we are on his Ace Crobat. He uses Fly right away, and he breaks my substitute, surprisingly. And then Waterfall does half. I just keep spamming Waterfall, and fortunately it gets the 2-shot. I was actually kind of worried he was going to miss the range there. And then last up is his Muck. One Earthquake just finishes it off. Next up is Bruno. Unlike round 1 Bruno, Hitmontop instead of spamming Dig is going to be spamming Counter. So what I'm going to do is use a turn 1 substitute just to prevent it from knocking me out with close combat. I actually thought he was going to use Counter. But here's the thing, now that his defense is lowered, Earthquake can guarantee the 1-shot. And now on the Hitmonlee, since his defense is not as good as Hitmonchan's, I could go ahead and use Earthquake, but first I use a substitute to block Swagger. I did seriously debate allowing him to use Swagger, so that way I can get the higher attack, but it doesn't matter. I can one-shot the Hitmonchan right afterwards, and then I can use Waterfall to 2-shot the Machamp, and then Dynamic Punch breaks the substitute, and it doesn't even matter because the Machamp goes down, and then the Lucario can go down with Earthquake, as well as his following Hariyama. Last up, we got Karen yet again. Unlike in round 1, Karen actually does not lead with her Umbreon. She actually leads with a Weavile, which is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game at this point. It has 178 speed. It is practically impossible for Quagsire to ever outspeed that thing, and it does have some pretty decent coverage like Ice Shard, Night Slash, Ice Punch, and Low Kick, but fortunately none of those are grass type moves, so I can defeat the Weavile. Then on her Spiritomb, I use a substitute. Fortunately, it fails its Sucker Punch. I'm mainly worried about getting hit by Curse from that thing, or Confuse Ray. Either one of those would be super bad. And then next up is her Houndoom. I go ahead and I use Waterfall on it for the 1-shot, and then I can use Blizzard for her Honchkrow. And then on the Umbreon, I use Waterfall. It does less than half. I really should have set up a substitute right away. And all I'm doing is just I'm using Waterfall, then Earthquake, followed by another Earthquake. But fortunately, she never even bothered to use Confuse Ray. So then on the Absol, I can go ahead and hit it right away with Waterfall, although the Absol uses Detect to block the damage. But he cannot do that any longer though, so I can one-shot it with Earthquake. And now that round 2 of the Elite Four is defeated, we need to do round 2 Lance. Let's do this. Round 2 Lance is effectively the hardest fight in the entire game. He's honestly straight up better than Red. I mean, yeah, his levels aren't as good, but his Pokemon just have higher base stat totals. But one thing that does sort of balance it out is that a bunch of his Pokemon have 4 times weaknesses to ice moves, including his lead Salamence as well as his Garchomp and his other Dragonites. Plus he still has Aerodactyl and Charizard. One thing that is annoying though is that his Salamence has Intimidate, so it will get it off right away. Plus he does have Rest and a Lumberry, so he could do Resto Chesto if he wanted to. And then I can knock it out with Blizzard. And then on the Dragonite, it uses Draco Meteor. It lowers its special attack by 2 stages, but it doesn't really matter though because I use Blizzard and it lives? Okay, I definitely wasn't expecting that. Next up is the Garchomp though. It does knock me out with Outrage, but if I can get to the Garchomp at high health, it actually can use Roar, and if he uses Roar on me, he will get rid of my Intimidate attack drop, so it can make the rest of the fight easier. On the next attempt though, I do use some more rare candies, so now I am level 91 for this fight. As you can see, I have 141 speed. Red's Venusaur has 148 speed. I need to be a minimum of 149 to guarantee the outspeed on the Venusaur, and if I can do that, Red won't be too bad. Fortunately, on this attempt where I actually used the rare candies, I am able to get to his Charizard, and then I can knock it out, and then the Altaria right afterwards, which is a good thing, because that Altaria has Perish Song, which would be effectively a death sentence, unless I can beat his following Gyarados in 3 turns, which I sorta doubt, because when I do get to the Gyarados, I have to do what I did with Lance in the first playthrough of this thing, at least the first beating of Lance. I had to spam Waterfall to prevent it from going into full restore range, just so I can make sure Blizzard can finish it off, and that's exactly what happens. I'm at 40 resets into this run so far at around 3 hours and 25 minutes. My first playthrough result was around 3 hours and 40 minutes. So I'm pretty confident I actually can beat my first run. However though, we need to watch these credits, we gotta reset, and then we can go fly to Mount Silver and take on Red. However though, I am not ready. I used all of my rare candies on Lance to get to level 91, so now I need to blackout train at the Pokemon League until I have enough speed in order to outspeed Red's Venusaur. That is the problem. I needed at least 140 speed EVs, and while yes, I do have them, if I had gotten more speed EVs than that, I could beat Red at a lower level. But the fact I missed out on some extra speed really ended up being a problem. Honestly, it makes me wonder if buying those proteins was a mistake, because if I didn't buy those proteins, I theoretically could have had more room for extra speed EVs. But having extra attack does definitely help, like maybe I should have bought 2 proteins or something. I think buying 4 may have been a mistake. This run has just had a lot of mistakes in it, but then again, this is Quagsire. What did you expect? I continue blacking out at the league, and then now I have 148 speed. So now I am effectively speed tied with Red's Venusaur. I will take this. So now I have to go south of Violet City, get myself a Heart Scale, which are surprisingly quite rare in this game. And now I have to go to the move relearner and re-get the move Amnesia. I skipped this move when I originally could have gotten it by level up, but this move is going to help tremendously at the Red fight, because this will be my setup move. The Pikachu is a prime target to set up on, because all it can do to Quagsire is Quick Attack and Iron Tail. Plus, due to my water typing, I will resist Iron Tail. So now I can head into the Red battle with the moveset Earthquake, Rock Slide, Substitute, and Amnesia. Let's go take on the final boss atop of Mount Silver. Red obviously leads with his level 88 Pikachu. I am level 95 for this fight. Starting off right away, I use not 1 Amnesia, not 2 Amnesias, but 3 Amnesias. Iron Tail fortunately doesn't get a defense drop. Oh, I guess the last one did. Hopefully that doesn't end up mattering though. I defeat his Pikachu with Earthquake, and then on the Venusaur, it has 147 speed. Okay, when I said it was a speed tie, I guess I thought Venusaur speed was 148, but no, I need 148 speed to outspeed, so never mind, I was wrong. So anyway, what I'm supposed to do on the Venusaur is use Attract. The reason I wanted Quagsire to be female is so that way, for his Venusaur, I can use Attract, hopefully prevent it from using Sleep Powder, or at least hitting me with Giga Drain. I mean, fortunately with Giga Drain, because of those Amnesias, it hardly does any damage at all. So I just need to use Attract on it, and then I can knock it out with Earthquake and Rock Slide. And then once the Venusaur is knocked out, the next Pokemon he sends out is Snorlax. I go ahead and use Attract on it as well. Fortunately, I'm playing on a day with Diamond Dust, as well as it being a Sunday for return, so I'm playing this on March 15th, 2020. That is the last time, to my knowledge, Diamond Dust appeared on a Sunday. So that's the time I set my emulator to, so that way I don't have to worry about hail for this fight. Plus, here's the other thing though, Snorlax has extremely good special defense, so even if I was a special attacker, it's usually not a good idea to use special moves on this guy. And then next up on the Lapras, I use another Attract, and now I have to use Rock Slide on it, which fortunately looks like it's going to get the 2-shot, and I do. Nice. And then last up is his Blastoise. I go ahead and use Attract on it. It misses Blizzard because there's no hail. And now with Attract on it, I just need to use Earthquake as much as I can, and it looks like it's going to be a 3-shot. Although maybe I should have used a Blizzard in order to guarantee the 2-shot, but I surprisingly get a very high roll and I actually 2-shot it. So now the Charizard is next, I 1-shot it with Rock Slide, level up to level 96, and Red is defeated. With a real time of 3 hours, 43 minutes, and 20 seconds, with 41 resets at level 96, with a game time of 9 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, this is effectively one of the worst runs I've ever done. This Pokemon is so slow, gets no good setup moves, Amnesia only helped at the red fight, specifically for Venusaur, and I had to do so much training. I had to really focus on speed EVs, which aren't the kind of runs I generally like. Like, having to focus on particular EVs in the early game is a sign that you are playing with a really bad Pokemon. Plus, if we take a look at this thing's leaderboard, we're actually at 9th place overall. I am shocked this did not get last place, but it was able to be around a minute and a half faster than Tyranitar, and the only reason Tyranitar plays bad in Heartgold is because it has to deal with Chuck, Bruno, and round 2 Bruno. Oh man, round 2 Bruno for this thing was the most difficult trainer in the game. In fact, more difficult than Lance in round 2. That's how bad he was. If it weren't for that, Quagsire would definitely be in last place. But there are a lot of mistakes I made in this run. I could have had Rest for Claire. I could have used Ice Beam with Nevermelt Ice for Erika to make her almost a guaranteed win. Plus, there was just times where I should have taught Substitute, I should have used it, and I didn't make myself female for the run, so after Whitney I had to cheat and make Quagsire female after I realized I forgot. I mean, I'm not going to consider that cheating because I should have had Quagsire as female in the first place, but the point still stands. This Pokemon is absolutely horrible to deal with. This run was not fun to play. I hate to admit that I have played this run now a total of 3 times. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all in the past now. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. This is definitely a longer video because this was quite a long and difficult playthrough. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. And be sure to follow me on my socials or support me through YouTube memberships. All YouTube members get access to all the patch files for all the backports we've ever done on stream. In the next Heartgold video, we will be doing Gastrodon. This thing is a similar typing to Quagsire, however, this thing is going to play much better. I enjoyed Gastrodon a lot more than Quagsire. So, and I know you will notice this when I release the video. Anyway, this has been a long voiceover. I will see you all in the next video.